Buenos días a todos. La Cámara de Comercio Latina les da una cordial bienvenida al workshop de esta mañana, Exportando a Casa, Exporting Home. Good morning to everyone. The Latino Chamber of Commerce of Minnesota welcomes all of you for this workshop. And we are very thankful for your time and your participation. Today, this is the first group of Minnesota companies to this program. And we'll be talking about some important material about exporting some of your products and services to international markets. This is an effort that is not only local here. This is the startup. This is going to be a national program, and later Santiago, my colleague, will give you more information about it. I am Fabio Tenorio, the Executive Director of the Latino Chamber of Commerce. A couple of things here. We are using Zoom because there's some people online right now, and we will be recording this workshop, and we will be placing this on our website for a later review in case of any of you, either the people here present or online, they want to come back and review that material. Also, we want to thank our sponsor today. The company is called Global 4PL. They are a supply chain solution provider, and they are based in California. Thank you, Global 4PL. And to start with the opening remarks, I'd like to introduce John Pacheco, who is the president of the Latino Chamber of Commerce. And he's not only the president, he was the founder of our Chamber of Commerce. John.
Thank you, Father. Again, my name is John Pacheco, and I am the director, the president of Latino Chamber of Commerce of Minnesota. It's our commitment to grow Latino businesses, to support them. They make a big impact on the economy of Minnesota. Right now, there's, according to the 2017 census, data, just shy of the 2020 census, there were about 1,800 Latino businesses that were registered. There's another 10,500 that, or the 1,800 are ones that have employees. There's another 10,500 that own their businesses, but they don't have employees, whether it be an architect or artists or manufacturers. And so we have a good number to work with. And of that, there was 42 that work in world trade. And so this is a subject that's important to us. And more importantly, just as importantly, I'll say that there's our members, but there's also our partners. We're an affiliate of the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We work with the next door, the Regional Chamber of Commerce. We work with you all now at the U.S. Commercial Service, and it really broadens the reach and the abilities for us to maximize our services for the smaller businesses here in Minnesota. So I'm looking forward to this partnership, looking forward to how we can grow potential avenue for you to grow your business. As Fabio said, there'll be another one of these workshops coming up. And as you walk through today, let us know what you want to hear. Let us know what you want the next time, or let us ask us to get the information for you, and we'll do that. So with that, I want to again welcome you and have a great day today.
Yeah. Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Thank you very much. And to continue with more remarks, I want to introduce Matthew Woolley, who is the director of the Minnesota U.S. Export Assistance Center, and he's got a team of trade specialists focused on helping U.S. companies in Minnesota to grow international.
Thanks, Fabio. Great. Well, thank you for having me. Thank you, Fabio, for the introduction. Again, my name is Matthew Woodley. I'm the director of the U.S. Export Assistance Center here in Minneapolis. We're part of the U.S. Department of Commerce, International Trade Administration. Our role is really to help promote and support U.S. companies trying to sell overseas. We do this in many ways, and we support companies of all different sizes. The first thing I want to say is thank you to the Minnesota Latino Chamber of Commerce. We here at the U.S. Commercial Service have an initiative called the Global Diversity Export Initiative. And this is a program where we take what we do every single day, but we want to ensure that we are reaching every single company that could possibly utilize our services. And so how do we do that in certain underrepresented groups? Is by partnerships, key partnerships with such as with the Minnesota Latino Chamber of Commerce. It's a prime example of what we need to do to continue to work together to find the companies that can use our services. As the intro said, we have a group of trade specialists that are dedicated to helping companies on a day-to-day basis with their day-to-day questions and concerns when it comes to exporting trade. So us being able to reach out with partnerships to companies that we may not have met before is super exciting for us. I mean, we will continue to do that work under this initiative, the Global Diversity Export Initiative, or GDEI, as we like to say. You know, we're governments, so we like acronyms, and you know, we gotta kind of make it sound like we're cool. As I mentioned, it focuses on reaching businesses in underserved communities. That includes women-owned business, rural businesses, ethnic groups of businesses in different ethnic communities. We have such a diverse group of communities here in Minnesota. Not only with the Latino community, but with our Hmong Chamber of Commerce, our Black Chamber of Commerce, all our partners who are working to ensure that these groups are supported in the way that they should be. Just a quick mention, this is a national program that we have, a global program really. But part of this program is we also have a program called Building Bridges to Global Markets. That's going to be coming up here. We'll actually have a session in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area. We'll be in St. Paul, I think, in September. This Building Bridges is a program that brings communities together, companies primarily, is what we were looking for to come in and kind of converse and learn about each other, right? We want to learn about what you are doing. That's the primary goal that we try to do, is bring companies in front of us and learn what is it you're doing that we could possibly help. And Building Bridges will bring federal and state and other resources together with companies who are seeking to grow internationally. So the final thing I want to say is congratulations to Santiago and to Fabio for putting this program together. I've been watching this work for a number of months now from afar, and then as I took over this position earlier this year, and I'm just excited that we're here today. This is a great group of companies, a great group of individuals, so I encourage you all to, you know, we did this in a cohort fashion for a reason, you know, learn from each other, and as well as what information is going to be presented today, because we're all going kind of, you know, you're all going kind of through this together. You have your own challenges and issues. You have your own businesses that you're focused on, but you can also kind of learn and work together and know that you're not the only one going through this, and we're all here together to help you on this journey. So congratulations to you all. Congratulations, Fabio and Santi, and you know, good luck and have a great session, and we'll see you at the later on, and we'll see you at the next session. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very excited about this event. It's been a few months, as Matthew said. Santiago and I have been working on the communication and all the details, and but finally we get here. This is the first session. The next session is going to be on Thursday, the 25th, in a couple more weeks. But with that, I'd like to introduce you then Santiago, who's going to introduce himself and continue with the presentation. Santiago.
All right, thank you. All right, well, appreciate the fact that we're taking a little bit of time this morning to get these things started, okay? So it's part of us just making a statement with the launch of this initiative. So Santiago Davila, Commercial Officer with the U.S. Export Assistance Center. It's really a pleasure for all of you and all of the people that are connected right now via the Zoom call being here, okay? For the launch of the Exporting Home, Exportando Casa for the folks in Spanish. A little special fact about this initiative. So this initiative actually was born here in Minnesota, okay? Last year, when our team was trying to brainstorm, figure out ways for us to connect to the Latino business community. I was lucky enough to run into Fabio, the executive director, and strong supporter of the program. So then after that, we just decided that this was something that needed to be organic, and we needed to reach out to some of the Latino businesses to get it going. our goal is to take this national, right? We're gonna go to other cities and other clusters of Latino businesses and communities around the US. Our goal here really is to connect all of you with Latino countries, right? Through the services and networks that we provide. And what we call this is the export journey, right? So we're gonna go with you through this export journey and try to make sure that we can expose you to the things that we offer, okay? And a lot of these countries, as we know, are countries of origin, países de origen for a lot of us. So we want to try to see if we can leverage some of that familiarity and resources that come from that, okay? So without further ado, as we celebrate a special launch, I would like to bring Ian Saunders to share a few words. Ian Saunders is the Deputy Assistant Secretary for the Western Hemispheres in the International Trade Administration. So Ian is an official travel overseas right now. He'll be with us, but he sent us a recorded video. So let's play, Fabio. Sure. There you go.
Good morning. Thank you, Santiago, for the introduction and for giving me the opportunity to address the audience today. I'm delighted to welcome participants to the first workshop in the Exportando a Casa initiative. I'm also delighted to be partnering with the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce as we work to expand the Hispanic American business community's exports to the Western Hemisphere. I want to thank John Pacheco, President of the Minnesota Latino Chamber, for hosting and supporting this event, Evelyn Barona, Senior Vice President of the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Educational Fund, for the partnership with her organization, and my colleagues Matthew Woodley and Santiago Davila, Director and Commercial Officer of the Minnesota U.S. Export Assistance Center, for their hard work in bringing this event to life. This event offers a wonderful opportunity to connect Hispanic American businesses to new markets around the world. This includes, in particular, those markets that I know best as the International Trade Administration's Western Hemisphere League. It's a region that shares a special connection with the Hispanic American community. Lazos fuertes formados por idioma, cultura, e historia. I'm honored to be here on behalf of the International Trade Administration to share a bit about our priorities, especially in our own hemisphere. At the center of our work is connecting U.S. companies with business opportunities around the globe. And in the context of this gathering, this means facilitating business connections between trade-ready and trade-interested companies that make up this Hispanic Chamber, and opportunities in the markets that the distinguished companies here represent. How do we help companies reach markets beyond our borders? The International Trade Administration is a global network of experienced trade experts located in more than 100 U.S. cities and 80 countries. For our region, in the Western Hemisphere, our team consists of over 200 staff living and working in 14 countries in the Americas, from Canada to the Southern Cone to the Caribbean. They work every day to help U.S. companies export their goods and services abroad, taking advantage of the enormous opportunities that the Americas hold. The key to our success is that our support isn't abstract, it's concrete, and it's tailored to individual companies at every stage during their export journey. Further, we're striving to unleash the export potential of all U.S. businesses, not just the usual suspects, looking beyond just growing exports to expanding the pool of exporters. To start, this means supporting small and medium-sized enterprises, or SMEs, which make up the majority of U.S. exporters and also the majority of our clients. In addition, we're doubling down on ensuring that our programs and resources reach the full diversity of U.S. businesses. To ensure that the benefits of exporting reach more broadly, last year, the International Trade Administration launched the Global Diversity Export Initiative, or GDEI, to promote international opportunities and trade resources to traditionally underserved communities, including the Hispanic American business community, with today's program, Exportando a Casa. Exporting home, Exportando a Casa, seeks to support established Latino-owned or Latino-led U.S. companies in identifying and accessing business communities in Latin America. This initiative will leverage the unique relationship that Latinos have with their home countries to help develop international business connections in a very unique way via e-commerce strategy development. America's diversity is a competitive advantage, but only if we give everyone an opportunity to fulfill their potential and to fully participate. I believe that this program today will give you just such an opportunity. At the United States Department of Commerce, we have one overarching goal: to improve America's competitiveness so that our workers and companies succeed in the global economy. Ensuring women's success is vital to meeting that goal. I would also like to acknowledge the strong participation in this program of businesses led by women. In the past decade, the number of women-owned businesses has grown 58%, and this compares with an overall growth rate of 21% for all US businesses. This statistic is encouraging and underscores the importance of today's event. I have two hopes for you all today. First, I hope that after this series of workshops, your knowledge of how to export will increase, and you will be determined to grow your businesses in the Americas. I want you to know that you will be supported by experienced and knowledgeable professionals at the International Trade Administration who can assist you at every step of your export journey. Second, I hope that in the near future, you're finding business partners, securing financing, and taking the first steps to exporting throughout the Western Hemisphere. Thank you very much for being a part of the launch of this exciting program. Enjoy the program. I hope you glean information and make contacts that serve you well. Les deseo todo el éxito posible. Gracias.
Well, thank you, Ian Sanders, wherever you are. Now I would like to introduce Evelyn Barahona, Senior Vice President for the Educational Fund at the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce based in Washington, D.C. In this role, Evelyn oversees the strategy and framework responsible for providing leadership development and access to capital to 250 plus members of the Hispanic Chamber's national network. Evelyn, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for those kind words, and thank you for having the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce as part of your program. Good morning, everyone. We are so happy to be here representing. As mentioned, I am the Senior Vice President of the Educational Fund at U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, which is the 501c3 arm of our advocacy and policy platform that you guys know through events and some of the partnerships that we do. The purpose of our fund, in addition to also the mission of USACC, is really to accelerate and unlock the economic power that exists within the Hispanic-owned business ecosystem that right now contributes over $800 billion into the American economy. And as a Hispanic overall community economic buying power, we have a GDP of 2.85 trillion. And for those not familiar with the USACC, we are the largest Hispanic business advocacy organization nationwide that is nonpartisan, pro-business, and pro-prosperity for all Hispanics. Our vision is guided by three principles: capital, meaning we look to unlock and provide equitable access to different forms of capital for all our businesses in the Hispanic community; capacity building, positioning businesses for the success and growth and connections, and nurturing that to make sure that Hispanic businesses are positioned to unlock growth and economic scale, which is why we are happy to join you in this conversation about Exporting Home, Exportando a Casa initiative in partnership with the Minnesota Latino Chamber of Commerce and the U.S. Commercial Service. Along with the Minnesota Latino Chamber of Commerce, we know that it's very important that our chambers is not just only a business platform, but provides training and capacity building and community building. When we come together, we can see that we make a lot of powerful things happen, both for your businesses and your personal connections and relationship building. That includes getting to know each other, connecting our ideas, and sharing different forms of culture. The Chamber of Commerce in Minnesota and nationwide is an integral part of the Latino community, and as so, provides facilitation opportunities and advocacy for your business. Almost half the companies participating in this program are women-led, representing the Latinas' drive and influence in the local business community, but also representative of what's happening on a national scale. You, as Latina leaders, also are on the rise in entrepreneurship participation, where Latina-owned businesses have a 6 times ratio of being the largest in terms of women-owned businesses. Approximately, there are 12 million women that own business, and nearly half of them represent American business and generating 1.8 trillion in revenues. Their contributions as business owners, exporters, and investors are essential to America's economy and therefore should be supported and nurtured, which is why we're here, because we want to ensure that all of you are unlocking your revenue potential with key partnerships and opportunities here locally and globally. Hispanic-owned businesses vary, obviously, in Minnesota with sectors that include art disciplines, high-tech, transportation, and legal services. And because of the technology improvements in e-commerce and communication, Latino companies can take advantage of a large consumer base outside of the US and accelerate the growth and diversification of exporting, which is why at the USHCC, our key priorities focus on the following: growing business opportunities for Hispanic business enterprises that include federal resources, facilitating equitable access to capital, and the bipartisan infrastructure bill that highlights the opportunities that are within the federal dollars related to infrastructure opportunities and ensuring that Hispanic-owned businesses remain competitive and included in those conversations. And additionally, supporting the broader Hispanic community. And then lastly, that's very aligned with this conversation, is integrating the Hispanic businesses into the global economy, which includes access to international markets, leveraging international trade relations, and facilitating opportunities for Hispanic business to be global ready. With a Latino gross domestic product that grew between 8%, 8.7% between 2017 and 2018, which is 4 times the growth of non-Latino GDP. In the last 10 years, Hispanic-owned businesses grew 34% compared to an increase of 1% among non-Hispanic business owners. I hope that with this partnership program, we can accelerate the Hispanic business prosperity. And thank you for having us as part of the program and partnership.
Thank you so much, Evelyn. I appreciate those words. Thank you, Ian, Evelyn, John Pacheco, Matthew, for being here and making this a very special moment. This concludes the introduction and launch portion of the program. Thank you so much. John, I think that's good. I can see you want to sit over here. Thank you so much.
I've been looking around before.
So for our virtual guests, we welcome you to stay connected if you want. But if you need to step out for another reason, this would be the time to do it. Okay, so we're actually going to go ahead and start diving into the content and some of the guidance that we're going to be providing to all of you companies. Okay. We have a few that might be coming in a little bit later. I know that Laura and Ivan might show up, so we'll make some space here for them when they do. If you want to get some coffee, please help yourself. We're going to the informal, more relaxed part of the program. And what we're going to do now is we're going to switch gears and we're going to open the floor so we can get to know each other. Okay? I'm going to share my screen really quick. Give me a second. Okay. Wonderful. And Dr. Daisy, I know that you're connected online. Let us know if you can see and hear us okay. If you don't, make sure you let us know, okay? Okay, so what I was thinking we could start doing is, so these are the companies that we have here today. I went on and kind of took some stuff. I didn't know what to do for you two, so I picked the one that I like the most.
That's fine.
This is too.
Yeah, it's good. That's good.
Really wonderful. So what I thought we could do is just go around the table and in 3 or 4 minutes, kind of tell us a little bit about your company. Okay, so we get to know what you do and how you do it. And maybe try to cover these 2 questions in your answer and overview. What's an interesting fact about your company that you want to share with us? And the second one, how do you survive Minnesota winters? Okay, I'm always very intrigued by that. As a Latino, I guess, stuck here for 2 years. I survived 2 winters, that's what I tell everybody. I'm always very interested to hear, like, how do people survive all these really great ideas? So, you can, introduce that into your answer, that'll be great. And, so we can start with, maybe you.
Sure. First off, again, my name is David Garcia. Our company is AMI Risk Solutions, AMMI. What we do to boil it down really simply is, we have a proprietary intelligence software platform. Who 95% of our clients are commercial nuclear power plants, oil refineries, and large chemical manufacturing facilities around the world. Most of our work is in Japan. What we're doing right there is following the Fukushima event and the tsunami. The 30 some odd, 40 some odd nuclear power plants were shut down. What our job is and what we're doing is through our software, we're helping those nuclear power plants know without a question that they'll be able to restart those nuclear power facilities in a safe way. We came into being in 2017 around November with 12 employees, and post-COVID, we're 9 employees, but we're doing more work with less overhead costs, which has just made us more competitive. We've actually been very involved with the Small Business Association and the Exxon Bank and some of those programs, up to and including in 2020, we were nominated and we were selected as the Minnesota Small Business Exporter of the Year, which is unexpected. And we learned a lot about the SBA. We learned a lot about the programs that are within export areas. And so we're just, personally, I'm one of the co-founders, really interested to see what this might come to be. Question number 2, how do we survive Minnesota winters? We go to Florida. That's how we survive Minnesota winters. So that's what I have. So
Okay, wonderful. Yep, what do you call it, snowbirds?
we have snowbirds.
Okay. Jimmy.
Jimmy, okay.
I was next.
I know, my wife is next, and by the way, interesting fact about our.
You guys can maybe share it.
No.
No.
Interesting fact about her is, she's the
No,
boss.
Amy. I was next.
Okay, you're next.
I'm Connie. I have a name, I'm Connie. And I get, I'm not Jimmy's, just Jimmy's wife, right? I'm the boss. I'm the boss of Jimmy Longoria Creative and also the nonprofit Mentoring Peace Through Art. When you communicate with Jimmy, you're actually communicating with me. But I sign his name if I have to, and sometimes I tell him what he said. Sometimes I forget. What else do you want to know? I'm born and raised in Minnesota. So I love Minnesota winters, and I love that. My favorite thing is going outside when it's like 25 below and you take a deep breath in. Nothing feels better than that, but you wouldn't know.
Thank you.
So now my turn.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, the surprise is, I've been working in 24, I've been working at art for 50 years. That's half a century, which I think outdates most of you. Early on, I did not make the decision to become an artist because I enjoy painting. As a matter of fact, I had to train myself to do it. The goal was to go and change American society by advancing the concept of Chicano aesthetics and consequently culture. The resolution of every immigrant in their next generation is problematic because the child cannot go back to the home origin country because they're American. And that's what the point of Chicano is. Recently, when Cheech Marin created the institution of the first Chicano museum in the country, he immediately sent a shockwave through the art business world. Chicano art is a bona fide category in Sotheby's, and now they're suddenly very interested in jumping on the market. So consequently, instead of being an artist who's more concerned about what color I'm using, I have to recognize that I'm an enterprise, a business. A couple of years ago, I was asked by sports teams to design t-shirts and was pleasantly surprised when my t-shirts, although they were promotional, outperformed everybody else's. So there's a market for the aesthetic. And so they also forced us to actually become a legitimate for-profit organization, even though we are hooked at the hip with the nonprofit. So it's an interesting and exciting thing. A long-standing advocate of making artists understand that the pursuit of art is a business, and if you don't understand the basic business principles, you will fail. So that's the interesting thing of a business, how I survived the winter. After the second major snowstorm they had here, I was walking the dog in my boxer shorts, slippers, and a parka, and I realized, oh damn, I'm gonna stay. So now the thing is, that's how you survive. You just grin and bear it.
Embrace it. Thank you for that. Very interesting.
Hi, good morning. When you guys got here this morning, you parked your car and you looked around and you were looking for the 81st building. And you probably looked at a sign to walk in the door, and then you kept on walking around and you had to find the elevator, and there was a sign hanging from the ceiling. And then when you came up here, there was some letters on the wall, on the door. Those are all signs, wayfinding signs. We manufacture signs. My name is Edward Lockbis. I own Signorama Twin Cities. We've been around since 1994, and we're a full service sign manufacturer. We will make signs from the little bathroom signs to the one behind you to the big signs that say US Bank in the top of buildings. We manufacture most of our signs here in Minnesota, here in Roseville. We have full service creative. We have metal bending, routing, laser cutting, whatever you need. Why we're interested in being here? Because we have the equipment. We have a light manufacturing equipment, and exporting has always been interesting to us. And let's see how we can build stuff. Let's see how we can get it to somebody else. Survive the winter. That's another story. I came here 20 years ago, and I was having dinner at a friend's house, and his wife heard me talking about how cold it is and how dark and yada, 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 yada. And she goes, you got two options. She said, I'm a psychologist. You can come see me, pay me $200 an hour. And by the way, I cannot change the weather. I'm gonna send you the target to buy a lamb. And I make 80% of my revenue in the winter, or you can embrace it. I learned how to ski and alcohol. Very nice to meet you guys.
Thank you so much.
Well, my name is Veronica. I work as paralegal for Santiago Legal Group, which is a local law firm that is specialized in immigration and family law. I think a fun fact, or well, not that fun, but a nice fact about us as we're working on changing the image or perspective that you have for lawyers, especially immigration lawyers and family are not fun stuff to do, but we want to really make our clients to feel like they have a friend on us and they can really count on us and make the whole process the best way possible to feel comfortable with the situation that you have to face. How I survived winters. This is my third winter. The first one was horrible. The second one, I was embracing it. I started doing cross-country ski and hiking a lot. The third one, I saw myself saying, oh, I'm gonna miss the winter. My mom was like, oh, okay, we lost you. Venezuela, and I'm from the city, I think it's the hottest city in the world. Right now, it's 123.
Oh my.
You're from Maracaibo?
Maracaibo, yeah.
Wow.
So it's good that you know that. Yeah, so but I was like, yeah, I'm gonna miss it. You have to enjoy every single season, like that. Yeah. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Antoinette Flores, and I'm the president and sole owner of Clutch Logistics. So I'm a freight brokerage company. So essentially what I do is arrange the transportation of products from companies who are manufacturers, wholesalers, big box retailers, and partner them with owner operators so that they can get their goods shipped to their end customer. Business started in 2019, pre-pandemic. And of course, with all of those things, I had to take a pause and kind of readjust. And then I relaunched my business in 2022. And really exciting things are happening. My business is certified through the state of Minnesota as economically disadvantaged small business woman owned. I also have certification for national WBE woman owned certification. So I'm really proud of those designations, and it's kind of opened the doors for a lot of opportunities. And so interesting fact about my business. Well, in 2019, I almost went to therapy. Not going to be successful and it wasn't going to thrive. And I pushed through, and I'm glad I did, because the world's, through the pandemic, realized how important truck drivers are with the big interruption with the supply chain. So I'm glad I did not, and I'm glad I pushed through the challenges, and here I am today. And so I'm really excited to be here. And I appreciate all the time and the effort that's been put into this initiative. So about Minnesota winters, how am I surviving? I'm not. It's really tough. I'm a native of Minnesota, so I've been here many years, so you'd think I would have been able to adapt. But I did move to Georgia for 10 years and I miss it. And so I'm hoping to have at some point dual residency. So when it's cold here, I can go south for the winters. Hasn't happened yet, but that's the goal. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm Louis Garcia of Media Garcia. It's a company I started 14 years ago as I was as a side business when I worked at Target, not too far from here. So familiar with the area right downtown Minneapolis area. It's nice to come back. Now I'm based out of downtown St. Paul, and it's a we're change agents at Media Garcia. We help companies who are navigating transformational change in their digital technologies, whether it be their marketing, sales, or customer service processes, and we support them with onboarding and training and optimizing and implementing customer relationship management tools and other marketing, sales, and service tools that help them with their lead generation and customer acquisition. We primarily work with technology and SaaS companies who are from startup to mid-cap companies that are looking to grow in those areas. And we have a team of 3 here locally and a team of 5 global workers. And so a part of my interest in being here, not only is it to sell abroad, which we've done in some cases, but mostly to Canada and Europe, not so much to Latin American countries, and also because I source talent globally. And so I'm curious about how, if there's ways to not only export, but to import talent in ways because I do have a digital remote workforce. An interesting fact about my company is that we recently achieved a expert vetted by Upwork. So Upwork is a global kind of gig job board, and they reserve the expert vetted for the top 1% of freelancers that not only have produced long-term results and satisfaction, but are also vetted through Upwork, through interviews and other applications. So we recently got that, very excited about it, which I think will make us even more competitive globally. And how I survive, I think with many of you, it's like you got to stay active. And so my thing this year was snowshoeing. And so I got some snowshoes, and I like to go down by like the Mississippi valleys and kind of explore those places on the river bottoms, some really special areas down there.
Congratulations.
Yes, for sure.
Thank you. You got it?
So my name is Ivan Martinez, and I am CEO, I guess, of Mr. Martinez Custom Clothing. I do all things custom, whether it be shirting, suits. I also do leather jackets, and I guess that's probably one of the most interesting parts about my business. I think in Minnesota, I'm probably the only guy that also does custom leather jackets. I think you won't find anybody person to person that you'll be able to do it with. I'm also one of the only Latinos that is doing this. Apparently, I haven't met another Latino that actually has a business like mine, or at least owns it. Most of them are working for somebody else in their shop or something, but I'm doing everything by myself. So I am looking forward to maybe kind of doing what you're doing, maybe like checking out exporting, but also seeing importing. I do want to do more manufacturing in Latin America, whether it be Colombia or Mexico, probably 2 of the main places that I want to work with. My wife's Colombian and I'm Mexican, so I kind of want to have ties back to the motherland. And how do I survive winters? I just do. I've been here my whole life almost. I was born in Jersey, and that's cold too during the winter. I was born in Madison, New Jersey, and then my parents decided to move over here. But I've been here for like more than 30 years, and I just live it. I mean, from a kid to now. I mean, I don't go out too much during the winters now. I take out my 4-year-old daughter, and we just kind of do fun things outside, go sledding or whatever. But I just kind of stay inside. I don't do many physical activities. I go to the gym, from my car to the gym, back in my car, back in my house. I will admit that this one was probably the harshest one. Like, I've lived here my whole life, but this was the harshest winter, I think. It just kind of like dragged for me. This was like the longest one, and I was telling my wife, and she's Colombian, she hasn't been here all the way, but I told her, I was like, this is probably the winter that I can name that's just too long, like it just stayed too long, so, yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, I can't not ask this question to John and Fabio and my colleague David. So how do you survive your winters?
Well, see, now, I was born and raised here, so my family came here in 1920, so 100 years now, and so third generation Mexican, Chicano, at the time. So I played hockey, I did whatever, we got 3 brothers, 3 sisters, and you had to go to the park. And you played whatever was at the park that season, played football, played hockey, whatever, and so I've carried that forward. My girls, I have 2 young ones again, and they enjoy the outside, and so we get out there quite a bit.
Thank you, Joe. How are you, David?
So I'd say I've been here since the fall of 2010, doing export promotion work, love working with companies, just like everybody here in this room, so really excited to be here. When I moved here, I swore I'd be here for a year, maybe. Because I was scared of the winter. So I have 2 things to say. One, like a few other folks, I believe in doing active things. I've skied bird finder twice, but went out as cross country ski. And then my second one, which I actually think is very important, nobody else has mentioned, I'm a big believer in wool socks.
Yeah.
There you go. They told me that, and I wrote that one down and I did it.
Before we move on, this is one of Yvonne's shirts.
Oh,
When they done, I said, I didn't want the buttons to show on this one, so.
Yeah. Bravo.
How are you?
All right, well, for me, I was not born here. I'm from Honduras, which is a very warm place. Maybe not as warm as Maracaibo, but it's very, very warm. So a couple of things that I do. One is dress really nice. I found that you can buy some brand names that are really, really warm in terms of clothing. Do that. The socks are important. So, and then the other thing I do is I try to go outside in the winter time, enjoy the snow shooting, snowmobiling, going to the cottage once in a while, just to do fun stuff. But the most important one that I do is I get out of Minnesota about 2 weeks in January, January the 6th and on, couple of weeks. And then I go to Honduras or whatever warm place I can get a hold of, and then I come back. And that helps a lot.
Nice, nice. Before I finish with what I do in the winter, we have Dr. Daisy. Can you share with us a quick introduction on what you do?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Hi, yes, my name is Dr. Daisy Valentin. I'm with Valentin Consulting. What we do is we help small businesses, in different areas of the country, committed to helping men, women, LGBTQ community, veterans, people with disabilities, small business owners become successful. And the main thing that we help do is help them find new ways or resources to help start their new businesses, any existing businesses that they have, and also create a strategic planning process that helps the organizations know where they are and where they want to be in the future. And that strategic analysis is basically set up to help them organize and achieve their mission and vision. So we're more of an e-commerce consulting service. And I've been helping the community for the last, I think, 10 years here in Minnesota. And in reference to Minnesota weathers, no, I'm not used to Minnesota weathers yet. I have been here almost 15 years and I still am not used to it. Luckily, I work from home, and the closest thing I go out is in my car and go take my kid everywhere and let him run around and do everything he needs to do in the winter outside. But other than that, I stay inside. And if I can get away during the winter, I do. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Daisy. Okay, so I'll tell you what I do. Okay, I'm a Latino guy that's been here 2 years. I like fireplaces. So we have a fireplace in my house, and we like to start fires, right? It reminds me of Colombia, right? I grew up and we used to go to grandma's house, and she had a big fireplace and Christmases and the smell of it. And I got into chopping wood. There's something very rewarding about chopping wood, going outside in the cold weather and taking that huge axe don't kill yourself with it and chopping wood. So I built a wood shed. I haven't cut a 2x4 in over 10 years. Built it up, got a lot of wood stuck up, and I go out, cut it, bring it inside the house and start fires. So that's kind of like my way to kind of connect with the outside and come inside and stay warm. So wanted to share that. All right, well, thank you everyone for sharing a little bit about what you do. It's very interesting. We have kind of a little bit of everything. We have some companies are selling products. We have companies are selling services. So it's going to be very interesting how we can kind of manage the information here. I appreciate a lot of you fill out the survey. So I got a lot of the information on kind of where you want to focus and kind of what you want to do from that. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and switch gears here. I want to start talking a little bit about why Latin America. Okay, why are we focusing in this region of the world? Before I do that, I want to give you a quick overview of the U.S. Commercial Service. Okay, we try to explain a little bit what we do, and you know, we are a small agency inside the International Trade Administration, right? So the U.S. Commercial Service, we're part of the ITA, and in the International Trade Administration is part of this big machine, right? The Department of Commerce. Okay, so that's how we fit in. We're known kind of for two main things. One of them is our unparalleled network. Okay, at a global level, we cover about 100, U.S. cities, Minneapolis being one of those. We have offices in California, Texas, everywhere else. And we also have a footprint in about 80 different countries. And this is both at embassies, U.S. embassies, and consulates around the world. Specifically in Latin America, we have teams in 12 different countries. Okay, and we'll talk more about that later. As far as services, if you want to summarize our services, there are kind of four main categories: export controlling, market intelligence, business matchmaking, and commercial diplomacy. I'm not going to get into those right now, but we're going to talk about those in the second workshop when we start talking about next steps. Okay, and how we're going to engage those teams on those 12 Latin American countries to kind of help us expand and develop opportunities in those markets. One thing that we really do, and we tell this to everybody, as the US government, we really can't open doors that no one else can in the market around the world. I can tell you that from my personal experience. Working in Malaysia and just being serving in different countries around the world. When you call an association, when you call government official, when you bring people together to do marketing and promotion for a US client, people come. The US government name has a lot of weight overseas, okay? Now, in some countries more than others, and in some countries, it's actually going down, but we'll talk about that. Okay, so one thing that I wanted to show you is a quick video, because they say that picture is worth 1,000 words and a video is worth a lot more. So if we can show that, pull it up. It's a quick 3-minute video that explains the U.S. Commercial Service. Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, share my screen.
Companies of all sizes grow their business by exporting products and services to buyers around the world. If you want to start or expand your international sales to one market or 100, we'd like to help. We are the U.S. Commercial Service, part of the U.S. Department of Commerce's International Trade Administration. We are the export experts with a global network of trade professionals located in more than 100 U.S. cities and in U.S. embassies and consulates in over 75 countries. This is unparalleled global reach that can help any exporting business. The key focus of the U.S. Commercial Service is to help small and medium-sized businesses, the foundation of the U.S. economy, increase exports and expand into new markets abroad. When U.S. companies succeed abroad, everybody wins. Exporting supports more good-paying jobs in America and US economic prosperity. 95% of the world's consumers live outside the United States. We advise US businesses on what these consumers need and how to market them online, on the ground, and around the world. We provide valuable and easy to access tips, tools, resources, and market intelligence. We offer personalized one-on-one export counseling and other services tailored to unique business needs, leveraged by a global network unsurpassed anywhere else. We help businesses select the best markets and sales channels, understand the rules and regulations, find qualified partners, connect with buyers around the world, and recommend ways to finance exports. We also advocate on behalf of US companies bidding on foreign public sector contracts so they can compete on a level playing field. Our US-based experts help develop export plans and strategies to get you started. Our international experts provide the market intelligence and connections to help businesses get that first sale in that first export market, or numerous sales in multiple markets. And every day, our in-country staff advocates on their behalf for easier market entry, lower tariffs, and even help unstick products delayed in customs. Our staff is dedicated to working with businesses every step of the way to see them grow globally and succeed in the international marketplace. Whether new to exporting or experienced global professionals looking for more market share, they can contact the export pros at the US Commercial Service. Visit trade.gov to learn more. Brought to you by the US Commercial Service, part of the US Department of Commerce's International Trade Administration.
All right, thank you. The export pros. I'm a big fan of videos, and I think that does a great job of kind of sometimes explaining the reach that we have, right, with this network, which is one of the big attributes that we bring in. So, all right, so we're going to kind of switch gears here, and I'm going to share again.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so we're going to spend a little time talking about Latin America. This is kind of the first topic within the first part of our agenda. And then after that, we're going to be talking, my colleague, James Fletcher is going to be joining us. He's the e-commerce expert, and he's going to introduce us to the topic of digital strategy and channel strategy, okay? But why Latin America? Okay, at a high level, right? Besides the fact that we all kind of are somewhat connected to this region, we're talking about 34 countries, over 600 million people, and this idea of proximity and friendly time zones, okay? And I can't underscore the value of that, right? Proximity, the fact that I can travel to Mexico from Minneapolis and be there in a little more than 4 hours direct. Right, I just went and visited my mother in Colombia and went to Montreal. Never done that before. Went up, went down, and I was there in about 8 hours. And same time zone, right? We share, you know, give or take based on the time of the year. But you know, from someone who spent 3 years serving in Malaysia, Southeast Asia, right? Malaysia is 12 hours ahead of the East Coast, right? So really, you have barely any of the working hours overlapping with each other. So think about that from a kind of customer service perspective, or trying to resolve a problem with some of your suppliers or your distributors. Very, very challenging, right? And you know, whenever I travel back and forth between Malaysia and here, usually you know, almost 22 hours, right, on a plane. So the proximity, the friendly time zones to Latin America, you can't understand that, okay? I want to spend a little time talking about free trade agreements, because this is important. You may recognize the flags out there, there's Colombia there, but free trade agreements, United States has 6 free trade agreements with 12 Latin American countries. This matters, right? These are, think of them as bridges that facilitate bilateral commercial flow, okay? In these free trade agreements, there are, in this case, e-commerce provisions, right? Guidelines and regulations that allow for the movement of goods between these countries. And at the end, they end up facilitating cross-border e-commerce. And when all of this happens, right, you have trust between the buyers and the sellers because there is somewhat of a supporting network. There's security behind it. There's regulations. If you're a buyer or a seller, you get in trouble. There are laws that can back you up and can help you get through some of those issues. Those don't exist.
When you say cross-border e-commerce, are you referring to financial transactions using online platforms?
So cross-border e-commerce, so e-commerce can take place within a country. You know, if you're buying from your grocery store online or you're buying supplies. Cross-border is when you're ordering something from a country outside of your.
Correct, okay.
And it could be, part of it is financial transactions that support the movement of those products and services.
Got it.
Correct. As far as no free trade agreements, I've seen it, right? In Southeast Asia, there is no access to the markets. There is issues and bureaucracy on data localization, where you can store your data, how you move your data. You can't take the data to the cloud. There's a lot of things that can really slow down the e-commerce itself. It creates e-payment regulations, right? You can't pay for these goods and services. It's really hard to move them from one country to another. This creates a kind of perfect ground for counterfeits. I mean, I'm not saying that counterfeits don't happen in free trade agreement areas, but they do more in no free trade agreement areas because there is no laws and regulations to protect consumers and suppliers. And at the end of the day, there's no trust. When there's no trust, nobody's going to go in and engage in e-commerce, right? And bilateral trade. Just talking a little bit about Minnesota. Why Minnesota to Latin America? Just wanted to share a few points with you. Minnesota, last year, Minnesota exports surged 16% to a record high of 27 billion. That's huge, right? For Minnesota being up here to Latin America. The two top markets were Canada and Mexico. Mexico increased 14% to 2.8 billion. Okay, important. If you look at the data underneath here, you can see that Minnesota exports to US-Mexico Canada agreement, the UMCA. You can see 2018 to 2022, the upward trend, right? Is the same trend that you see from Minnesota exports to Central America, right? 2018 to 2022. South America, a little bit of a different picture. You had a little bit of a decline taking place, but coming back up, okay? All this to tell you that things are looking up, right? As far as Minnesota's exports to the Latin American region. One interesting fact that I picked up is that Minnesota doesn't have a dominant product or category of exports. Rather, it makes a lot of different goods that are sold around the world, right? So it's not that our thing is oil and gas, right? Or some type of commodity. We make a lot of things that a lot of people want.
Do you have a breakdown of what those things are?
We can get that for you, yeah. Oh, we have tons of data for that. So let me talk to you a little bit about what I call this e-commerce convergence effect, okay? This is just all these characteristics coming together to create kind of the right recipe for e-commerce. And this is e-commerce both for products and services. A lot of you here are selling services as well. And e-commerce is turning into a platform that can be used to promote and sell your services. So the first one, COVID-19 aftermath. Okay, so the silver lining of COVID-19, right? We went through it, it was terrible, but it moved a lot of people online, right? My mother in Colombia, I never thought she could. She now orders grocery items online and gets them delivered. She lives in a little town 3 hours outside Bogota. I would have never thought that she even do this. It happened during COVID because she had no way to go out and get her supplies. Marketplace growth. Because of that demand for people going online and ordering items and services, there's an explosion of marketplace platforms. We know the big ones, right? Amazon, we know eBay, Latin America has got Mercado Libre, huge platforms. And now you're starting to see these other kind of niche marketplace platforms being created for special services, right? Legal services and technology services, all because of this convergence of technology and demand. Digitalization of businesses, right? Companies were moving and starting to digitize their processes and their businesses. But when COVID happened, it kind of accelerated that, right? So everybody now has a kind of online footprint. I think about my mom, right, being able to do that. And in Latin America, it's got one of the fastest growing internet penetration rates, meaning that people are accessing the internet either through their phones or computers, and they're actually being able to participate in this e-commerce industry. And the last one I want to this next item is social media marketing. Who would have thought that you could actually promote and sell products and services through social media? It's exploding now. And if you're a company and you want to go overseas, and you don't have a social media strategy, you don't have to have influence, right? I mean, but if you do, that's great, right? It's not for every industry, but you should have a social media strategy supporting your marketing strategy, okay? And we'll look at a little bit of data that kind of supports some of that. Okay, so don't take my word for it. I'm going to show you a little bit of data really quick that kind of tells and paints a picture, okay? This is e-commerce sales in Latin America, 2021 to 2025. So it's a forecast, right? 21 light blue, 25 dark blue. And on top of that are the cages, which is a compound annual growth rate, okay? Double digits across Brazil, Mexico, Argentina, Chile, and Colombia. Look at Argentina, 25% CAGR, okay? This is what's projected to grow the e-commerce space for these countries in the next 2 to 3 years. This is for our friends in Estatista, so I didn't make this data. This is a very, Estatista is one of our most used data platforms, okay? Really quick, right? When you look at the e-commerce market share in Latin America, look up top, right? So you have Mexico and Brazil leading the charge. Okay, they are the biggest countries, right? But look at that block in yellow, right? Colombia, Argentina, Chile, and Peru. We have US free trade agreements with 3 out of those 4 countries. Colombia, Chile, and Peru. We have to take advantage of that, right? The fact that these countries are gaining more market share in e-commerce, we have free trade agreements with them. Perfect recipe. Yeah. Really quick here, just to show you to your point about cross-border. Okay, so this is cross-border as a share of e-commerce in Latin America. You can see Mexico, it's got this big, almost 30% cross-border market share. Colombia through Chile, right above or near 10%. What this tells me right here is there is opportunity for growth. Okay, and based on the fact that all these things are coming together, we're probably going to see that growing exponentially. My last point of data here is this point about social media. Okay, look at this. This is smartphone users' main search source for online shopping. You have social media influencers, 41%, right next to our standard ways of searching for online products and services, which is retail, multi-category, and online marketplace websites. So social media and influencers matter. And again, should be part of what you're doing online. All right, I want to make sure that it's James Bledsoe is right there, perfect. So I'm now going to pass it over to James. James Bledsoe is the director of our Innovation Center based out on the West Coast, and he knows everything about e-commerce, right? So whenever we have anything related to e-commerce, he comes and helps us either find the data or present the data. So can you hear us, James?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, just fine. So he's going to be presenting as well, Fabio, so you can confirm that he's got and he's going to give us a introduction to the digital strategy,
sound was done. So James, please send it away.
I'm sorry, was that a question for me?
Yeah, you can go ahead and
I can't hear whoever's talking. They're away from the microphone too far.
All right, James, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So yeah, so you have the floor now if you want to go ahead and get started.
Sure. Let me get my presentation up.
And James, maybe you can tell us a little bit about your position and what you do at the Innovation Center?
Absolutely. Good morning, everybody. I'm James Bledsoe with the E-commerce Solutions Center, and I'm director of the E-commerce Solutions Center. I'm based out of Tacoma, Washington, and I'm a colleague to Santiago. What I do here at the E-commerce Solutions Center is help Santiago help businesses like you sell more online. So today I'm going to cover e-commerce channel strategies with everybody. And what we're going to do is understand why, as business owners, we care about search engine optimization and e-commerce sales channels, understanding them from a business strategy perspective, not so much from a deep dive technical perspective. However, we will be doing a deep dive technical perspective on the following meeting on the 25th, when we look at everyone's website globalization review gap analysis services that I will cover in this presentation. So again, I'll briefly cover e-commerce statistics from a consumer perspective. It was pretty funny yesterday in preparing for this. I found out that I had managed to guess a few of the exact charts Santiago was using in his presentation without knowing it. So I thought that was funny, but we'll be going over some different statistics, followed by covering the 5 steps of a digital strategy. And this is just a loose step-by-step guide for making sure that you're covering all your bases online, followed by the gap analysis service itself, and then further resources for developing your online digital strategy and strengthening your sales channels like social media. Can we see my slides okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, excellent. So I've enjoyed this slide for a couple years now, about 2 years now, but it's about to expire. Even though it's still true that over a quarter of global retail sales are going to, or sorry, over a quarter of all retail sales are going to be e-commerce by next year. And that means that e-commerce as a sales channel and a method for sales is still growing, has been always growing, and is continued to grow, forecast to grow, as you've seen, for the foreseeable future for business. So what does that actually look like worldwide? So here's a regional breakdown of e-commerce, and again, it's still growing worldwide. The Asia Pacific region, as you can imagine, with China, is the largest region there for e-commerce, followed by North America, Northern Europe, LATAM, Central Europe, and then the Middle East regions. So that gives you some context to the size comparison of what we're looking at there. And then to the right of that, we see a graph of growth from 2018 forecast through 2026, again, across all of those same regions. So you can see it's a steady growth rate, even for regions that don't have much growth potential, like in the African region, Middle East and Africa. Very limited markets there due to infrastructure mostly, but as time marches on, that infrastructure finds solutions. And so the e-commerce sales channels also grow. So our focus here is Latin America, not regions worldwide. So what is selling in Latin America? The majority of products we can see here selling online is electronics, followed by fashion, toys, and then beauty and healthcare products. So if you are in the retail sectors and sell any of these products, you've got a lot of stable growth on the horizon here. For the B2B folks out there and services folks out there, basically it mirrors this. We see steady growth following the B2B sectors as well. It follows in lockstep with retail. So that's a very good thing to understand for our folks out there, again, who are in the services and B2B. What are the main sales channels for Latin America? How are you actually selling online into Latin America? Well, the main retailers out there, obviously Mercado Libre, and then you have Americanas, SA, Magazine Luiza. Sorry, I'm trying to squint to read this on my screen. And then Via, Falabella. And then we have marketplaces like Mercado Libre outside of their normal retail, AliExpress, unfortunately leading for Latin America, but our own homegrown American Amazon is also another viable option for selling down in South America. And if you wish, we actually just recently held a webinar on selling through Amazon and other marketplaces to Latin America. We have a recording on that webinar. So if you're interested, just reach out to Santiago and ask him for a copy of that recording, and we'll pass you along to the appropriate trade specialist to learn more on that. So as you're looking to grow your international sales, you need to understand what that growth process looks like. Many of you are probably familiar with the term localization, where you'll often hear digital marketers and service providers selling the translate your website into a specific marketplace to make sales pitch. That is often misunderstood as the first step, and it's actually the last step in your growth process. What you'll want to begin with is simple internationalization of your website. Can it be found by website crawlers? Is there any mechanical issues that make it look unappealing or impede its performance? Does it look like your website's open for international sales? Do you put out what I like to call international sales welcome mat gestures to let folks, visitors to your website know that you do international sales transactions? And as you begin to understand and see where that growth to your sales is coming from, specifically from the visitors, you'll then look to modify your website with landing pages, country landing pages, regional landing pages in the process called regionalization. Ultimately, then landing upon the process of localization, where you'll find a service provider to translate your website. You'll find you'll need a domain in whatever country you're looking to translate in, .jp for Japan, for example, instead of .com. So all of this is going to be very expensive. You're going to want to make sure that you've established good sales from that market before you go investing that large expense into that market. You want to cover the costs of that localization with the sales that you're already tracking from that country. So what are these basic international sales welcome mat gestures that I mentioned in the first step of internationalizing your website? Well, there's two main areas that I've identified working with clients in this when it comes to internationalization. And the first, again, is these welcome mat gestures. Making it clear that you sell online. We do international sales, quite literally stating that at the top of your web pages is a best practice, made in the USA, designed in the USA. Making it clear that you are putting content for overseas viewers to read and understand that this is a US company. And then also making it clear on your website that you understand your audience and what they're doing on the website, that there's an easy flow if you're selling products from the landing page to the product pages to a menu where you can see other products very quickly. It's not complicated. Or if you have an audience that's there to read and consume material, like we at trade.gov. how are we laying it out and laying that consumer journey for our consumers of content on trade.gov. And so these are things you're going to want to understand about your own website from a consumer's perspective. Am I welcoming as a website to people who are coming from X, Y, or Z country? Do they know that we are a US-based company selling to Latin America, or specifically X, Y, or Z country? Are we stating that? Are we leaving clues, hints in our website, in the structure of the website, such as menu items, translation options, you name it? There's many of these things you can do, these welcome mat gestures, to indicate that you're open for international sales. Another thing that a business can do to internationalize their website is pay attention to your contact us page. Understand that visitors to your website aren't from the domestic US. So when they see a contact us page that has sales at, please enter your zip code and your 10-digit phone number starting with the area code, none of that matches with the overseas layout of phone numbers or addresses. And so the overseas visitor might say, well, this company's focused only on US sales. They make no accommodations for international sales. They don't say international salespeople reach out to us here. And so those are the type of steps, again, you want to take on your contact us page to let the casual visitor or someone who's maybe looking a little bit deeper into your website before they make that purchase overseas, letting them know that you're prepared and ready for that overseas inquiry, even though it may go to the same generic email. You want to have that separate international contact us, domestic US inquiries, overseas inquiries, something that indicates, and again, it doesn't matter if it goes to the same doorway or email, something that indicates that you understand that the overseas consumers may and likely will have special questions, and that you as a business are focused on that. That's how you indicate you're focused on those consumers. And then lastly, something I see time and time again with clients and missed opportunities for low-hanging fruit for search engine optimization on their websites. They may be doing a gap analysis service with us, and as we're doing a search engine optimization crawl of their site, we come to find out through casual counseling conversation that they're also attending several trade shows. Yet nowhere in that search engine optimization crawl do we see high value links to or from those trade shows, indicating that they are involved in those trade shows or trade events. And so that's something else that businesses should be practicing. And it's my personal mission to bring awareness to this for all businesses, is that what you're doing on a day-to-day business is the exact content that needs to be put up on your website for search engine optimization to get those keywords that you want there. Say, for instance, you're going to Pro Medica or Consumer Electronics Show or SHOT Show. You want to highlight the fact that you are attending those shows, a link to that show, because search bots like that. And then what are you doing at that show? Selling our many products, and you're associating those keywords with those backlinks on your website. And again, this all makes a lot more sense within the context of a website globalization review gap analysis or any search engine optimization service out there. So we've covered the user interface, the welcome mat gestures, the window dressing, if you will, of internationalization. The other side of the house is the mechanical issues. What search bots need to see, and currently is not present, is what search engine optimization really is at its root. And that's what we try to explain to our clients as we're helping them. And that these areas, these mechanical issues, need instructions for the search bots, and they come in the form of metadata issues, keywords, small elevator pitches, if you will, on the web page that are there to guide the search bot and make associations of keywords for those search results. And so we take a look at those. Most clients don't. If you haven't done search engine optimization and this is a new word for you, then you want to look at doing it relatively soon, because I guarantee you, you will find issues you aren't aware are even there that only search bots can see. And so with search engine optimization, you're able to see those issues and actually act on them. And another part of that search engine optimization that we identify, along with the mechanical issues on those pages, is the outdated products and service pages, along with maybe missing the elevator pitch for your main product page. The product description itself on the page is maybe 2-3 sentences long. Well, that's just for an entire page. That's not many keywords. And so updating, adding to, creating more keywords, more descriptive sentences is the other side of the mechanical issues that businesses are facing when they're doing search engine optimization. We have to do an elevator pitch for the search bots. We might as well do the human-facing side that everybody can see in the product pages, and adding that content that we add on the back end to the front end as well. So how does this all fall into a digital strategy? Yeah, search engine optimization sounds great, but it's also kind of a mystery for a lot of folks. How does it fit into your goals of selling more? Well, that's where the digital strategy comes into play. First, after defining what you're doing with your website, and hopefully as businesses, you've all done that already. Am I selling from my website? Am I informing to lead to a sale? Maybe I'm not selling tractors directly from my website. Maybe I'm giving tractor specifications and giving a list of distributors to reach out to. You want to make sure that you understand what you're doing with your website as its main goal. As you would not believe, there's still a few businesses out there that haven't thought that through all the way. And so make sure that your foundation of what you're doing for your business is solid. You understand that from the start. Our website is for sales. Our website is for informing to lead towards sales. Our website is for both. We want to inform to lead towards sales, and we also want to make sales. So you want to define those objectives at the very beginning of your adventure with your websites. Then, as I was just talking about with search engine optimization, you want to make sure your website's functioning properly. How does it look to a search bot? It's kind of similar to asking a friend before an interview, going, how do I look? You know, is my buttons off to the center here? Is my buckle brown and my shoes black? You know, how am I looking here before this interview? That's what search engine optimization crawls do for your website. How do you represent to a search bot before they go, okay, you go number 2, number 3, number 1 in the search results for whatever keywords are done. Now, that's not the end of it. Once you've done the search engine optimization and you know what is there, and most importantly, what is not there that needs to be there, then in step 3, you should address these back-end issues, actually fix them. That can be as simple as seeing what pages from the web crawl are missing elevator pitches and creating 2-sentence long elevator pitches with the right keywords for anywhere from 10 to 100 pages. It could be more complicated in that you have severe server errors and 3/4 of your pages aren't showing up, and they should show up, and your search score is very low, and there's a whole lot that needs a lot of work on. So it ranges the whole gambit there. You just don't know until you actually look and go, okay, how bad is it? How good is it? But then you do something to improve that condition. You just don't leave it as is. Now, The main issue that a lot of you are thinking about right now with addressing the back-end digital infrastructure issues, fixing the SEO issues with your website is, that's great. That costs money. Where do we get that from? Well, luckily there's some funding out there that we're able to help our clients with and get them access to, depending upon which state they're in. I'm not sure with your state particular, but there's the STEP grant, for example, in many states nationwide. There's also the SBA, Small Business Loan, Small Business Administration, excuse me, capital solutions out there, in addition to Export-Import Bank, as well as other private sector solutions out there from Intuit. If you do TurboTax, they have financing and capital loans, as well as platforms like Amazon, I come to find out recently, also offer it. So there's lots of resources out there to help you pay for this expense. But again, the reason you're doing this is to make more money, to sell more. So before you get to step number 4, choosing your e-commerce sales channel here with the shopping cart, am I going to invest a lot of my money in my website because that's where all my sales come from? Am I going to invest all of my digital marketing funds into social media because that's where all my sales come from? You need to, at some point, either before step 1, before step 2, before step 3, understand and establish key performance indicators here in step 5. This will make the expense in step 3 of fixing those digital infrastructure issues much less painful, because you'll know what to expect out of it in sales. And what establishing key performance indicators for your online sales involves is fairly quite simple. It seems overly complicated for a lot of businesses, but it's nothing more than looking at your website analytics. Yes, there is a ton to look at in analytics: shopping cart abandonment rates, bounce rates, you name it. But for business strategy, all you need to look at is the overview tab of your analytics. You're looking at your site visitors month over month, doing a 6-month and a 12-month look back. You're looking at your site dwell time, also called a session duration. Looking at how long your visitors are consuming information as a quality indicator of the experience on your website. And then you're also looking at the top 3 site visitor country of origin, month over month, to see where you're getting international interest from. With this information combined with market intelligence from our local partners and Santiago, you can then better make a decision on how you want to sell your products through the e-commerce sales channels in the specific markets. Is the best option for you, for example, to sell through your website to Mexico? Or based on your website analytics and the market intelligence on your products, people are buying those products in Mexico through Amazon or Instagram. So understanding that process a little bit better on the back end, the cause and effect, before you go forward spending money on fixing the issues and deciding how to allocate that spend, is very important. And so it's not to be left on the last step. It just simply is step number 5. I highly encourage everyone to look at their analytics if they haven't. Start looking at them, and don't feel bad if you aren't already looking at your analytics. 99% of our clients aren't. And so every gap analysis service that I do, I understand a little bit more and explain to those 99% how important website analytics are and can be for your business strategy moving forward. Now, that said, all of this comes down to, with your website search engine optimization, the main question: is your website reaching international audiences? Is the products, the marketing, the content, the effort you put into that, is it actually reaching those audiences? Do you know? Well, first, you have to understand in a basic sense how a search engine works. And I love showing this little PowerPoint animation for 2 reasons. One, it really simplifies what the tech industry tries to overcomplicate with buzzwords like AI, machine learning, and other technical mumbo jumbo. So it helps the business owners to understand why we care about search engine optimization from a business perspective. And two, I created this PowerPoint animation, so I'm quite proud of it and try to force the most people I can to watch it. So here is the World Wide Web. On the World Wide Web, we've got search engines. You've got Google, Yahoo, Ask, MSN, Bing, Yandex in Russia, Naver in South Korea, Baidu in China. They're all essentially the same. First and foremost, Google develops the code and everybody copies it because they do such a good job at it. They just modify it slightly for their own needs and their own search engines. Yes, even Bing too. But second of all, each one of these search engines have another thing in common. They all have their own web crawlers. These are search bots, mathematical algorithms. What this is a robot with robots programming, but no robot body. And what these search engines do to their web crawlers is design them to go out every day and index everything on the internet and basically create an old school library index card of what they found on each and every single page out there on every website. And the reason they're doing this is for the search results, the final product of Google, Yahoo, Ask, MSN, Bing. This is their product. So when you click on a search result, you're clicking on this robot, this spider's index card of what it found on that web page. So when you're doing search engine optimization, you're doing nothing more than making sure that a robot that is programmed to find A, B, and C on a web page, when it comes to your website, it finds A, B, and C, and that A, B, and C is filled out for it to put on its index card. At its core, that's what we find with search engine optimization issues. When we look at the crawls, this is blank, that's blank, or it has the word orange in there for some reason. You don't have anything to do with oranges. Who put that there? We don't know. Now, it gets a little bit more complicated than that with things like screen formatting sizes and images. This search bot doesn't know that this is a multivitamin D vitamin with magnesium in it, unless I tell it through an alt text, an alt tag for the image. And this is often found as the image summary when you upload it on your website. Instead of our product or vitamins, you want to put things like multivitamin supplements containing D vitamins and magnesium, because that's what this web crawler needs to see. He doesn't know just by looking at a picture because it's a robot without a body. You don't have eyes. He's just programmed to look for what's written down. If it's not written down, it doesn't exist. Now, how can you get in to the mind of these little search bots and tell whether or not you have every little I dotted and T crossed that these little search bots are programmed to look for? Well, there's a lot of search engine optimization services out there. Most of them are focused on domestic SEO. Our WGR gap analysis service that we will be presenting to you on May 25th addresses the international SEO aspect of it and the international sales aspect of welcoming consumers to your website. And so we take two website crawlers, two separate ones, to get two differing opinions on what they're seeing and what's important to them. Again, each one has its own differing programming, and we integrate those into this WGR report, indicating what's there, what's not there, and helping you understand what should be filled in and what priority. And then we also offer recommendations such as those international sales welcome mat gestures that we talk about, going in depth specifically for your website and how your website matches up to that internationalization best practices ideal. As we're delivering this to you all, and we will be delivering this in a group format, I believe, we'll be learning a great deal from each other about each other's websites and how we compare, because there's a lot of difference out there. But the most important thing is each one of you will walk away with a better understanding of your own website and how it compares for better or for worse, and the next steps that you can do very easily this evening, that afternoon on your own if you work on your website, or if there's more serious issues, service providers and direction as to what should be worked on first. And that's not the end of it, to be honest with you. As you work on that, keep reaching out to Santiago and myself, and we'll keep running these SEO reports to see how these fixes have improved your score and how that impacts your sales in a positive direction. Now, the gap analysis report usually costs $100 to the majority of companies. If you're FedEx, which we did one for, and the SBA, it'll be $400. But I don't think any of you are that size, so you don't have to worry about that. On top of that, this service is gratis as a part of this Export Home program. So you're getting extra value here of a SEO report and internationalization report here on our next meeting. And after we deliver this, we will definitely be following up with you within 6 to 8 weeks just to see how things are going. If you need any resources, if you need the report explained again, any questions, any issues whatsoever, we just want to make sure that the report that we take time to help you act on actually gets acted on and doesn't collect dust and doesn't benefit you like it should. So as I get close to the end here, I'll go ahead and cover some online resources. Here on the e-commerce frontline library, this is our blog, and this has two purposes to it. On the surface, it is a grouping of topics that you as business owners would be interested in. Everything from understanding e-commerce sales transactions to the social media forecast worldwide. What's it looking like? Lots of good topics here. We're always adding to it. But the secondary purpose to this resource here has to do with the gap analysis service. And as we deliver those reports, the recommendation for every client, not just you people, but all of them, all over, is create more content. Add it to the existing pages, create new pages. It doesn't matter, but more content needs to be created to improve search. These articles are our practice what we preach examples on how to structure pages for search engine optimization. What they should look like, what they should contain, how big they should be, et cetera, et cetera. And this is something that we'll cover on the May 25th meeting when we meet for the gap analysis. We'll go in depth and actually look at these examples of what you should be doing over the next year to boost your website scores. I'd be remiss if I did not bring up our world famous country commercial guides. If you've been working with our organization since our inception in the 80s, I believe, we've had our country commercial guides, guides on 140 markets worldwide, created by the commercial attaches in our US embassies overseas. We have new e-commerce sections for those country commercial guides. So you can learn how to do online sales in each individual country based on the in-country personnel and the power of Statista research that our posts now have access to. So we have some very robust e-commerce sections here. This guide here compiles the e-commerce sections out of each one of these 140 country commercial guides. Now, mind you, these country commercial guides, when printed out, are about as thick as a phone book for each country. So there's a lot of data there, and we have the out of that thickness of content, the e-commerce section's taken out in this convenient location here for the e-commerce resource guide available on trade.gov there at the bottom of our page. Lastly, the next step for May 25th. Santiago has covered this already with you several times, I'm sure, but I'm going to do it another time just to make sure. We will need a website globalization review service intake form filled out by you. And what we need on that form, most importantly, for the Moz crawl is your business URL, your website. We will also need a list of your 3 competitors that you want to benchmark against. Now, please don't pick competitors like 3M or Boeing or Amazon. Not for the fact that I don't think that they're your competitors. It's just when we get to the Moz crawls and such large multinational corporations are seen on the charts, they tend to wash out the data with the ginormous size of their multinational websites. So it really doesn't help us out at all. So when thinking of competitors, try to think of apples to apples competitors, either locally, in-state, could be nationwide, or could be international competitors as well. But find 3 competitors, just the main domains. If it's a retailer that sells a product that competes with yours, let's try to stay away from those, because again, those retailers have massive websites that sell lots of other products, including yours. You want to just focus on smaller websites like yours. And then lastly, we'll want 3 or more keywords you will want added to the keyword analysis list for the demonstration of your gap analysis in the Moz crawl. And in addition to this, an extra value add for next meeting here on the 25th is market intelligence reports. This is something that I like to do for clients that I interact with. And so if you could send to me and Santiago, CC him, or give it to Santiago to give to me. You can scribble it down on a piece of paper if you want, but your main industry, product or vertical that you would like this market research report on, your top 3 countries that you want to sell to that are currently your goal, and then a little bit on why you chose them. Because of a report, I don't know, seems cool, whatever it is, just to help me understand the thought process a little bit more. And then any other aspect of the e-commerce sales channel that you'd like to understand that I could possibly get out of the Statista information available to us. So again, just 3 short little details there about what you would like to know. And then I'll have these market intel reports ready for each of you on our next meeting here, along with the gap analysis review service. With that brings me to the end of my presentation on understanding e-commerce sales channels and how search engine optimization plays a major role in that. Are there any questions?
Yeah, so I think it's, thank you, James. A lot of information that we share with you, right? Hopefully it was kind of a good start on figuring out how to work our website. So this is just one piece of the e-commerce material that we want to share with you. So any questions, if you have, and you can always send it to us later, but we have James for a little bit longer. From the information that we gave you guys, anything that pops up?
Yeah.
Jimmy's been asked to prepare a 1-pager for exporting art to Saudi Arabia. Does that count? Can that be one of the countries? Or do you want to stay? Okay.
No, absolutely. I mean, obviously, this program is focusing on Latin America,
Yeah.
but we cover the whole globe.
Okay.
And we have teams in Saudi Arabia as well.
Thank you.
Right? So we're happy to add that in there for you and connect you to the relevant parties.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So James, if you can all share, I'm gonna share something really quick. Okay, so just a quick summary, this intake forms that James was talking about, I'm gonna mail them to you. They're half a page, right? And detail the information that James was talking about. So the sooner you get those to us, the sooner we are able to start the process, right? We'll run the search engine optimization that James spoke about. And our goal is to have the website globalization review reports finished for all of you. And then we'll do a presentation and deliver the findings on May 25th when we get together, okay? I can tell you, I started doing this a little while ago with the help of James. He knows these things inside and out. But little things that you can do for your website. I did one for a customer a few weeks ago, and he was very proud of Made in USA, right? That was one of his things. That has a lot of value for a lot of customers overseas, right? So he, one of the things that we told him in the report is that he needed to add Made in USA to all of his products. He just had it on the first page, but then when you started going down to the different products, he was missing that piece of information. And again, as Jane was saying, the crawlers are going to go and they're going to look at that, right? And it's going to be important. Also, I think that, you know, as you're kind of putting together these welcome mats, gestures, think about the countries, right? We're thinking about Latin America. If there is a connection with Colombia, Venezuela, is there something, Mexico? Is there something about those countries that you can introduce into these welcome mats that's going to capture the attention of those customers or the online shoppers? So think about that in the context of Latin American countries and how you want to introduce that in there. So this right here concludes the content that we have for you today. And I'm going to pass it back to Fabio. He's going to quickly go over what we're going to do on the second workshop, a little bit of the information there, and we'll get to eat. Okay, so Fabio, please.
Yes. Okay, thank you so much for your participation today. While I was listening to the presentation, I realized that James did such a nice job of, you know, putting these in regular common words that we can understand. And that is not an easy task because it's way more complicated than what he makes it sound. I had the opportunity to work with different corporations throughout my years, and I was part of an analytics team. And, you know, bigger companies, they just hire consultants, Deloitte and Accenture and all these bigger companies, and they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to do these kinds of analysis. We are small businesses. We are like Hispanic, Latino, women-led small businesses, and we don't have $100,000 to invest in this. But I think this is a good opportunity that Santiago and the Latino Chamber of Commerce is bringing to you, so you can go through this deep analysis of what you're doing in your website and how you can really twist a little bit some words and some analytics to be able to reach the right customer. So I'm glad that this is, you know, this is going through, and you, the people here in the meeting and the people in the online that have access to it, really without, you know, spending too much money to have access to this information. So for that reason, I'm very, very glad, and I feel that this is already a successful program. So things that will be coming up next time, in the next session, it will be on Thursday, the 25th. We will be, there you go, it's mentioned in there, right? There's gonna be, let me see. There's gonna be, we're gonna hear about success cases. There's some other smaller companies, and we're gonna have a couple of companies that are gonna share their case, their experience, and how they expanded to international market and how they did. And And there are gonna be companies that is like your company, you know, smaller companies, medium-sized companies that already went through this process and they will share that. The other thing is about we'll be reviewing the website globalization results that you guys are already asked to submit your information. So Santiago and his team is gonna come and gonna say, hey, you know, you need to, you know, this is what we found, and this is what you need to tweak, or this is what you need to modify. I think basically those are the couple of things. There is an e-commerce marketing strategy too.
Yeah, on that marketing strategy, so our goal, we're gonna try to bring somebody from one of the big market place platforms, right? Either hopefully FedEx or somebody else to kind of tell you about what are some of the resources that they have for you if you wanted to leverage their platforms. That's gonna be on the e-commerce marketplace strategy. And the one that I'm really excited about is the one right after that, right? The US Commercial Service in Latin America. So we're gonna have our teams from Latin America calling in. These are our local staff that are in charge of e-commerce, calling in and talking to us a little bit about the market, right? So I'm trying to get Mexico. I think they're already committed to it. And then hopefully we can have Colombia or Peru join in as well. And they're gonna give us like on the ground information of, you know, what's going on, right? Sure, we're looking at this data, right, growing and everything, but they're gonna give us the more kind of realistic version of what's going on in the ground. Colombia, for example, right? Things are looking good for Colombia, but you know, they're in the middle of some social political turmoil, right? So a little bit of that information makes a lot of sense as you're trying to identify what are the one or top 2 countries that you want to focus on for your online marketing strategy. So
Perfect. Well, with that, this is the end of this first session. Thank you for your participation again. We will have lunch. We'll take a few minutes after this for a little bit of networking, meet each other, connect with each other, talk a little bit about your companies with each other. And then we have lunch coming from Chef Asha Pican with some Latin flavors here. She's from Ponce, Puerto Rico. So hopefully you guys can enjoy it. And it's very casual, very informal. There's gonna be a place right there, and there's gonna be little boxes with a nice lunch for you. There's also water in a cooler here. We'll set that up. But enjoy the lunch, enjoy the networking, and we'll see you the next time, right?
Thank you.
I want to talk with you guys. I want to talk with your wife, not with you. You're the product. She's the